الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise and thanks belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we thank Him, we seek His help and we seek His forgiveness. Whomsoever Allah guides, there's none that can misguide. Whomsoever He allows to go astray, there's none that can guide. And I bear witness that there's nothing worthy of our worship except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, without any partner or associate. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he is a slave of Allah and His messenger, and he is the seal of all the prophets alayhi salatu wasalam. And indeed, the best of speech is the speech of Allah azza wa jal, and the best of guidance and example is that of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst of matters and affairs are those which are newly introduced into the deen of Allah. For every newly introduced matter into this deen, it is a bid'ah, and every bid'ah is a source of misguidance, and every misguidance leads to the hellfire. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we all know about the importance of the salah. We all know about how important and how crucial it is for a Muslim to be a Muslim, for him to establish the 5 daily prayers. This is a topic which we cannot overemphasize on, really. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he says, "Inna awwala ma yuhasabu bihi al-abdu yawm al-qiyamah min amalihi salatu." That he says, ﷺ, that from the first things which a human being, a person will be brought into account for on the Day of Judgment, from his actions is his salah. فَإِن صَلُحَتْ فَصَلُحَ سَائِرُ عَمَلِهِ. And if that salah is intact, if that salah is good, it's proper, it's correct, then the rest of his deeds will be correct. And this is what brings us to our topic today, inshallah ta'ala, and that is the topic of sujood as-sahw. Sujood as-sahw, which means the sujood of forgetfulness, the prostration when a person, he makes mistakes in his salah, which makes his salah deficient. So how can he repair that? Sujood as-sahw, the concept of this is that you can actually repair the mistakes that you make in your salah. You can compensate for them. And this is a very important topic as well, because time and time again, you always have people who come up and ask about this concept, because they either make mistakes in it or they did not understand where to apply it and how to apply it. So our khutbah today inshallah ta'ala, will be to touch up on these cases, the scenarios where this occurs, and how do we repair it and compensate for our salah. So ikhwani wa akhawati fillah, some people, what they do, they also redo the whole prayer because they made mistakes. But they don't know that they can actually fix it just by doing 2 sajdas at the end of the salah. So this is why, another reason why we should discuss this today, inshallah ta'ala. And someone may say, I might pray, I'll just redo the prayer, is that okay? Well, no, because the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us not to do that. Rather, he taught us what to do in case you make a mistake. You don't just redo the whole salah. So first and foremost, with sujood as-sahw, or with these 2 sajdas at the end of salah, the only actions of the salah that you can actually fix and compensate for are those which are wajib or mustahabbat. Wajib, it means they are obligatory actions in salah, or they are sunan, which you usually do. Sunan, which you usually do all the time in salah, and then you happen to forget them. You happen to forget saying them, or whatever, if it is in a dhikr or something like that, or an action other than that, then how do you compensate? Sujood as-sahw will fix it. And when it comes to the arkan of salah, sujood as-sahw is not enough to fix it. The arkan of salah. So this also brings us to the topic of knowing what the arkan of salah are, the pillars of salah, the pillars of prayer. Because there's the pillars, then there is the obligatory actions, then there is the recommended actions. For the pillars, you cannot just make up sujood as-sahw to fix that problem. You have to actually redo the whole rak'ah, for example. And we'll talk about that inshallah in brief. But for example, if you forget to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and you enter into the next surah. You go straight to the next surah after dua al-istiftah. For example, you begin your prayer, but you go straight to, let's say, Surah Al-Ikhlas. And you did not recite Surah Al-Fatiha at all. Then you go into ruku, and you go into sujood, then you remember, I did not recite that surah. What do? Can you just say at the end of the prayer, I will just do 2 sajdas and that will be enough? The answer is no. You will actually have to repeat the rak'ah. You can keep praying, but the next rak'ah you stand up for, that will be your first now. That will be your first, not the one you missed the pillar in. So you will redo that, and at the end you will make sujood as-sahw. So this is one example of that. Likewise, if you forget to go into ruku', you go straight to sujood. It happens. It can happen to people. Or they don't go into sujood, or they make 1 sajda instead of 2 sajdas. Right? And they get up for the next rak'ah while they made only 1 sajda. What do they do in this case scenario? Can they just do sujood as-sahw at the end? Again, the answer is no, because that's a pillar of prayer. So the pillars of prayer are different than the obligatory actions, which we'll talk about inshallah ta'ala. So this requires that a person repeats the pillar in order for it to be fixed and repaired. And then he will do sujood as-sahw or 2 sajdas at the end of the prayer. So today we want to focus on the wajibat or the mustahabbat of the salah, the obligatory actions or the recommended ones. What is the obligatory in salah? It is obligatory that when you go into ruku', you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim at least once. Wujuban. If you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim once in ruku', this is enough. It is from the sunnah of the Prophet that you say 3 times and even increase upon it. And you can even add other ad'iyah or supplications which the Prophet says, like Subuhun Kudusun, Rabbul Malaikata wa Ruh. He would say this as well in his sujood and his ruku' as well. So if you miss out on the obligatory dhikr of ruku', which is Subhana Rabbi al-Azim at least once, then this would be fixed by sujood as-sahw. You would not go back to repeat the rak'ah. Rather, you would just fix it at the end of the prayer, before giving salam or after, by adding 2 extra sajdas. That would be sufficient. Or sometimes the person, he can add to the salah. He can add another rak'ah or something extra which was not part of the pillars or the wajibat. So these things, they can be repaired. They can be fixed by making sujood as-sahw. So let us look at what we find in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Sahih al-Bukhari, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he was reported to have said, إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ أَنْسَى كَمَا تَنْسَوْنَ فَإِذَا نَسِيتُ فَذَكِّرُونِي. He says, I am a human being just like you. I'm a man just like you. And I'm liable to forget just like you forget. Because I'm a human being. So if I forget, then remind me. In another hadith, it was reported from Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِذَا قَامَ أَحَدُكُم مِّنَ رَكَعَتَيْنِ فَلَمْ يَسْتَتِمْ قَائِمًا فَلْيَجْلِسْ فَإِذَا اسْتَتَمَّ قَائِمًا فَلَا يَجْلِسْ وَيَسْجُدْ سَجْدَتَيْ السَّهْوِ. If anyone stands up after the 2 rak'ah, if he has not fully stood up, meaning you're going to pray dhuhr, for example. You pray 2 rak'ah, you should be sitting now to do tashahhud. But you did not sit for tashahhud at all. You stood up straight away for the 3rd rak'ah. What do you do in this case? The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, if he has not stood up fully, let him sit back. So continue, go back to tashahhud, which you forgot to sit for initially. So you can sit if you did not entirely sit up. But if you stood up completely, then do not sit down. Do not sit down to go back to tashahhud, but rather continue. And at the end of salah, then you add 2 sajdas to sujood as-sahw. This is what we are talking about. In another occasion, the Prophet ﷺ, instead of praying 4 rak'ah for dhuhr, he prayed 5. He added an extra rak'ah. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, from those who were present, they asked, has there been an increase in salah, Ya Rasulullah? Then he of course negated that. And what he did is, he made 2 sajdas. He went back into sujood, he made 2 sajdas, then he gave salam again. So he fixed that mistake in salah immediately. So if some time has passed by, you cannot you just leave it now, it's finished. But if it's immediately after salah, and this comes to mind, then you would do the sujood as-sahw. In another occasion, another instance, the Prophet ﷺ, Instead of praying 4 rak'ah for dhuhr, he prayed 2 and he gave salam. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, or one of them at least, he stood up and he said, Ya Rasulullah, has the prayer been shortened? Has dhuhr been shortened? See, they didn't have adab with the Prophet. They did not say, you forgot, Ya Rasulullah. Has the prayer been shortened? And the Prophet asked the other companions, is what he's saying true? Did I actually pray less than what is required of me for dhuhr? They also affirmed. So then he, alayhi salatu wasalam, he stood up, prayed 2 more rak'ah. Then at the end of that, he made 2 sajdas at the end of salah, before the taslima. Another case, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentions to us, when you're not sure how many you prayed or where you stand in prayer, which rak'ah are you in? The hadith of Ar-Rahman ibn Auf radiallahu anhu, he says, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say, إِذَا شَكَّ أَحَدُكُمْ فِي اثْنَتَيْنِ وَالْوَاحِدَةِ فَلْيَجْعَلْهَا وَاحِدَةً وإذا شك في 2 والثلاث فليجعلها 2 وإذا شك في 3 والأربعة فليجعلها 3 ثم ليتم ما بقي من صلاته حتى يكون الوهم في زيادة ثم يسجد سجدتين وهو جالس قبل أن يسلم. The translation of this hadith, the Prophet says alayhi salatu wasalam, if any one of you is uncertain, he's not sure as to whether he has prayed 1 or 2 rak'ah, let him assume it is 1. If he is not sure, if he has prayed 2 or 3, let him assume it's 2. If he's not sure whether he has prayed 3 or 4, let him assume that it is 3. Then let him complete what is left of his prayer so that the doubt will be in what is ziyada and what is more. Then let him make 2 sajdas. 2 sajdas at the end, sujood as-sahw, before he gives salam. أقول ما تسمعون والحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. عن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه, the companion of the Prophet Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he collected many hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. In this collection of Imam an-Nasa'i, he quotes him that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِذَا شَكَّ أَحَدُكُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِ فَلْيُلْغِ الشَّكَّ وَلْيَبْنِ عَلَى الْيَقِينِ. The Prophet says ﷺ, if one of you is not sure about his salah, let him forget about what he is unsure of and let him complete his prayer what is firm, what he is sure of. Al-yaqeen, what is certain. Exactly. Let him complete his prayer on the basis of what is certain. فإذا استيقن بالتمام فليسجد سجدتين وهو قاعد فإن كان صلى 5 شفعتا له صلاته وإن صلى 4 كانتا ترغيما للشيطان. He says when he is sure that he has completed it, let him prostrate twice while he's sitting. So 2 sajdas of sahu. Then if he has prayed 5 raka'at, for example, he has added, then the 2 prostrations, the 2 sajdas will make his prayer even numbered. And if he had prayed 4, then they will humiliate and annoy shaitan. They will humiliate shaitan. So you are in your salah and you are not sure. Am I my 3rd rak'ah or is this my 4th and final rak'ah? So you try to remember, you try to recall what did you read in the first salah, in the first rak'ah, what did you read in the 2nd rak'ah and so on, and accordingly you may remember. And if you are not sure now, you're in actual doubt, then you take the smaller number of rak'at that you performed, in fact that you are sure you performed, right? Because you're not sure if it's 2 or 3, you know it's 2. Like that, so you're sure of that. And you add one that you're in doubt about. Then you make 2 sajdas at the end of salah, or before the taslima, or after saying assalamu alaikum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He clearly tells us, inna shaytana lakum adu. Inna shaytana lakum adu, fattakhidhuhu aduwa. That shaitan, he is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. So shaitan is in fact the one who is behind all these doubts that we get in our salah. All these things we are uncertain of. What are we saying? What are we doing? Did I say this? Did I not? What rak'ah am I in? So on and so forth. All of this is because in fact there is a shaitan, his name is Khizab, which he was appointed specifically for this purpose. Where he comes in, he does waswasa. He tries to whisper these thoughts and confuse you about your salah. So Allah tells us to take him as an enemy. How? In this scenario, you do 2 sajdas, as-sahw. And shaitan gets humiliated. Right? Even if you were wrong in that assumption. But if you were actually making a mistake, in either case, shaitan, he will be despaired. So we learn from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, when it comes to these scenarios or situations in salah, the first case is when you can or when you add in your salah. When you add something which is not from the prayer, like an extra rak'ah, for example. Like if you pray Maghrib and you pray 4 rak'ah, this would be that case. So you would again require to do sujood sahw. The second case is when you bypass something from salah. You forget something from the prayer, like you forgot to say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la in sujood. You went to other nafila, or I should say recommended dhikr, but not the one you're supposed to say, which is Subhana Rabbi al-A'la at least once. So in this case, your salah would be deficient. It would be deficient. And before you make salam at the end of the prayer, you would give two sajdas, then you would give salam. The third case is when you're in doubt, you can't remember in which rak'ah that you are in, for example. In this case, the Prophet told us to build upon what is certain, what you know for sure, and you build upon that. And finally, to summarize everything, the majority of the scholars, they say, if you do the 2 sajdas before or after the taslim, before or after you say Assalamu alaikum, it will be sufficient. The Jumhur al-Ulama, majority of the scholars, they say this is sufficient. Some scholars, they differentiate where they say if you added something to the prayer, extra, then you would give salam first, then you do 2 sajdas. The others say it doesn't matter. Or they say when you miss something, then you would do the sajdas at the end of your tashahud or after the salawat, then you give salam, right? Do the 2 sajdas at that moment, you give salam. In other case, it's okay, inshallah ta'ala, it will be sufficient. And in addition to this, there's the last point, the wajibat, we understand, inshallah, that you say Subhana Rabbil Azim in ruku, Subhana Rabbil A'la in sujood. The middle tashahud, this is also wajib. And other actions like this is what you make sujood as-sahw for, if you miss those. What about the mustahabbat, those things which are recommended? Is it a must that you make sujood if you forgot to say, for example, dua al-istiftah? Right? The dua al-istiftah is the dua you say before reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. You said Allahu Akbar, you went straight to Al-Fatiha. You missed dua al-istiftah. The scholars say that is mustahab anyway. It's recommended. So for a mustahab, it is mustahab that you make sujood as-sahw. You understand? So for a recommended action in prayer, it is recommended that you also do the 2 sajdas of forgetfulness, sujood as-sahw. So this is how it works. For the wajibat, it is wajib. For the mustahabbat, it is mustahab. Simple as that. And if you don't do it for the mustahab, then there's nothing upon you. There's no sin. It is simply recommended. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us amongst those who understand the deen properly and apply it. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma arina haqqa haqqan warzuqna tiba'a wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna istinaba. Allahumma atina fi dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar. اللهم وفقنا لما تحبه وترضاه اللهم وفقنا لما تحبه وترضاه اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم من أحييته منا فأحيه على الإسلام ومن توفيته منا فتوفه على الإيمان اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين.